Hey everybody, this is Sengoku with Wyatt. We're here bringing you another episode of Ravenlofty Reviews Traveler. This week we're going to be talking about just sort of some of the creatures, environments, and any other final thoughts we have on the game before we jump in and actually show you gameplay. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we're going to jump right into it. And then there's sort of all of these things are things that you can be added in by the DM to make the world more interesting. You know, like diseases, fatigue, poisons, falling damage, high Gs for gravity, radiation like we talked about before. Eventually, at the beginning it just makes you sick, and eventually you're bleeding internally or you're losing your hair. So these are cool things to add to either keep people away from area or is sort of a unavoidable, taxation on their system.
Who doesn't want 80 damage a turn?
Mm-hmm. So then the, healing.
Good old suffocation, temperature. Because there's an entire planet building system in this game. And so some planets that you go to, they're going to be a little cold. Just a wee bit.
Yeah, or very, very hot, right? Just like...
Yeah, no atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's all things that, like, if you're interested in the game, you should read through and find out what's best for your particular game. My advice is to always have a story in mind for this game, and then get everyone to make their characters. Because once again, you can't just go into it like, okay, I'm gonna have a party of a bunch of elite marines, so I should make sure that I have a lot of combat for them. They don't know that they're gonna be elite marines. Like, they might want to be, but or I'm gonna do one that's all space scientists just going around and discovering things. It's like, well, they all might be you might have a crew of criminals, so just
Which is why one of the tools, in my opinion, is the packages. Based off of those, you can be able to ask the players, okay, what kind of game are you guys, what we wanting to play? Well, I'm wanting to run this, and here are, none of you have, you go into and you're like, okay, nobody has the skills for this. Here is a package that allows us to be able to facilitate that. So even if the party's like, yeah, let's all be, play Star Trek, and they all play, and they're like, we're all fighters.
Yeah.
Well, here's a skill package to be able to facilitate that, which is really cool. It can definitely keep things, because he's exactly right. You definitely want to go in with a narrative in mind, and then talk with players. Hey, what kind of thing do we want to do?
And and the book also gives you here some things once again that you can take directly from where you're just you want to throw these creatures in for random encounters, or to kind of get an idea of the type of creatures people might find. Whereas I think most people are just going to make up whatever seems cool to them. But it's important to know that this is kind of, I don't know about you, but whenever I'm making a new creature for a quest, I always look at another existing creature and kind of base everything off of that one. I'll be like, okay, this one has this many hit points, it's kind of has these abilities, so I'm going to use that for this creature.
Absolutely.
Wow, this in the new book, this one's adorable.
Yeah, that is really fucking cute.
Yeah, this one kind of looks like the other one there. Looks kind of what are those things from Star Trek, the original series?
Oh, fuck me, bro. I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna leave this. We're gonna leave this in, and someone's gonna be furious at us.
Oh, it's like, you fuckers!
Yeah.
How could you not remember the exact episode?
Yeah, the nibbles or whatever they're called. I have no idea.
I had several plushies of the fucking Tiddly Danker, and I can't believe you would forget its name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I just also love this picture so much. It just shows the multifaceted racial diversity that could exist in your game, as well as, if you don't have to, you can definitely have it I have seen it and I've discussed it that you could entirely just take your Stellaris galaxy and just run that. So it's really, really cool. But yeah, it's just I'm very, very much a fan of the skill system from this game. It is really cool, in my opinion. Skills to stat ratio. Yes, it uses them D6s, and that's literally everything. And I know how much you hate or at least controversially despise how they state it, but I think it's a really cool way of going about things, even with how goofy it sounds.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with D6 systems. I just don't like when it's just like, it's the dice. It's like, well...
the die.
Like, that might have been fine in, like, the 1970s, calling it the dice, because everything was just a die. Like, a die was a D6.
You're right.
We live in a world where there's literally D1s. There's, like, you know...
you're right.
There's a die for every single denomination, so just to say a D it's like, just throw a 6 on the back of that thing and keep it simple.
Give it some clarification for poor bastards who are just flipping through your book.
Yeah, right? Like, that seems like the fair thing to do.
And I know why they did it this way. It's still goofy, and I agree with you. But back when this game originally came out, you know, it was just D6s that were all the... You're absolutely right. We've so many more now. It's just kind of almost pretentious to do it this way. But, you know...
Yeah, like, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, we used to, like, take die from other games. If we were missing it, and just, oh yeah, we'll just use, like, you know, these, like, Parcheesi dice, and just move them over and use it for this Risk game or whatever, but...
Oh yeah.
I mean...
Man, this Farkle, it's given me so many D6s. I can play, give it to everybody at my party.
Yeah, but things are a little different now, so we have to... in a world with all these systems, just call it a D6, but it's not the end of the world because they explain it at the gate. I'm just a butthurt nerd who likes things particular. We can talk about credits now too, because this game is not cheap.
Nope.
Like all space games, like if you've ever played Spelljammer, it's the same way. This level of technology, the cost is supposed to be you work your ass off just to get by. This isn't a thing where you go into a dungeon and then you're rich beyond, you know, like, let's buy a kingdom. It's like, you're... Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, half the time, the job you do is enough to pay for the gas for the job and maybe your team.
Yeah. A lot of the time you don't even own your ship. You own, like, a share in it. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, I have two out of the 4 shares in my ship, so... I'll just work a couple jobs and pay for it. It's like, no, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. That, like, you know, it's supposed to be a little beyond reach.
Oh yeah, each ship is processed in the macro credits in the hundreds of thousands, which equals to the multi-hundreds to the multi-millions. Like, the most expensive ship, I think, is the, like, Battlesphere at over, like, I don't know what it is in this one, but it's like almost like 200 million schmackaloons. It ain't cheap.
Yeah. So for context, it's kind of like, you know, staying in a cheap hotel is 10 credits.
Oh,
you know, in a good hotel, it can be 50 to 100 credits. You know, like a very poor person, it costs about 400 credits a month to live. An average person's about 1,200. You know, if you're Space Bezos, that's like, you know, 200,000 a month. You know, so yeah, it is not cheap. And yeah, I mean, like, to Wyatt's point, when you're in space, you're essentially away from everything for so long. You really have to have the right fuel, the right, you know, parts in place, because if you're skimping, it's gonna come back to bite you.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, we can kind of briefly touch on the armors and the kind of equipment here. So we'll have a look here. We got you know, once again, the tech level is very important. So the tech level tells you whether you can even have it, or if you're going to a planet that is like tech level 9, then they're not gonna have access to, the best vac suit or, battle dress. Or battle dress is essentially like, Spartan armor, or Starship Troopers armor
Starship Troopers armor,
from the book, not from the movie.
From the book, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, from the book.
Yeah, combat armor is from the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not even, because technically it's a vac suit, so...
Yep, it has a dermal mask that is used, so yeah, it's even better than what they got in the movie. It's what they use in the new Starship Troopers extermination. There you go.
Right, yeah, exactly. But I think this also allows you to understand the cost of things, too, because if you want battle dress, it's like, that's, what is that, 200,000 or 2 million credits?
I cannot currently
I'm trying to see how many zeros are on there. I'm looking at from...
I cannot see right now. All I see are some...
200,000. 200,000.
There you go. 200,000 bullies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I have that pulled up. There, now you...
No, you're fine. Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, not cheap.
No.
Yep. But very useful. And you can see what they look like. The Obla armor, people underestimate, and they're like, oh, it doesn't have any armor. It is one of the best armors for cheap. And then if you wear the reflective armor, that shit makes you very difficult for laser weapons. Yes, someone can blast a shotgun hole through your chest, but the reflective armor is made almost exclusively for lasers, and you're very hard to kill if they use lasers.
Yeah.
So just don't go to fucking peasant worlds.
Yeah, so there's some things that are you'll see as well. There's things that are good. It's kind of like rock paper scissors a lot of the time with laser weapons, pulse weapons, and just good old fashioned bullets. Because some things work against some and some don't. It's like there's a thing that ships can do where they throw like sand out of the ship, and that works really well if you're targeting them with lasers, but not so much with anything else. So the important things is your protection, which is just, that's what it adds, how much it protects you, so the higher the number, the better. Technology level, which is obviously, how advanced it is. Radiation, which that's how much radiation protection it gives you. So anything that's a vac suit always gives you a little bit of radiation. The weight, the cost, and then the skill. So you have to be good at vac suits to use or at least, competent.
To be competent to be able to operate them, yeah.
Yeah, without taking minuses every time you're walking around in them.
Which is a thing we haven't talked about. If you don't have a skill, you get unless you have a skill called Jack of all trades, which we'll talk about when doing character creation. You get a -3 to attempting that thing. So these skills, even if it says a 0 means you have it, meaning you don't get penalties, which is a good thing. I don't know if we covered that.
No, we didn't.
Oh yeah. So that's something to remember, is that to even have a skill, even at level 0, that's a good thing.
What I love about Traveler too is the options that come with things. Like armor options are great. The guns are really cool. This is really cool art too. I love the upgraded art.
The new art is cool.
The new art looks really nice.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, here's all the extended stuff. You can get like slap a thruster pack on there. You can get some eye protection, some life support.
Extended life support can be a literal lifesaver. Oh, mesh armor looks so cool now. The battle suit literally looks like it's from fucking Starship Troopers. I love it.
Yeah, this new art is super badass. I'm a really big fan of the direction they went. It's also cool that they used the same model. Like, it's the same guy wearing all of it, so you can really tell, what the differences are.
Then the personal augmentations.
This is for you cyberpunk nerds. This is all the stuff that you want to do to yourself, that, you can take off all the armor, but this requires a uninstall to get this stuff out.
Oh, yeah. And then you see the maximum types of improvements and capabilities to even be able to function in it. Modifications it provides you. It's really cool. And then, of course, the tech level of the planet, you have to be on to even fucking get it.
Yeah. And then communication, real simple stuff here, but underrated. Being able to communicate is huge.
Absolutely.
Let's see, computers, let's skip past that. We don't really need to go. Needless to say, there is a lot of really cool stuff you can gear your guys up with.
Oh yeah.
All the way to habitat modules, and the art on these is really great.
The cool art is so amazing. Yeah, those habitat modules, some of them literally just fit in your backpack. Like it's that. Like again, this is in the year 5,800, I think. So this takes place a long time in the future, but also we've had 2 great cataclysms. So the technology differential between planets can be, as you can see, very vast. But the high-end stuff is really cool.
This is a great juxtaposition here. You have someone working on a robot in the lab, on a ship somewhere, and then you have a pioneer just still using technology, but it's carve out a skull, do some archaeological work,
Beautiful. Agreed. All this art is so good.
Yeah, so now we get to the melee weapons, which most people don't think of in space, but yeah, it can make for really cool combat, really interesting things. Because once again, you're gonna go to some worlds that are still dueling. That's the rich all carry rapiers, and or there's pirates who use cutlasses, or it's a really cool addition. I really like how it's done, and they're viable.
Yes, they can do damage.
In real life, yeah. It's oh, I've got this fancy spacesuit. Well, I have a sword. So...
Oh, yeah. Bust that motherfucker open.
I do like the staff. It's just like a stick.
Oh, yeah. I love the improvised fucking pipe.
I mean, if it's good enough for Half-Life, it's good enough for space.
You know what? You're right.
And then we got
the fire.
Yeah, the slug throwers, which is this is all the classic. This is what we know. This is with our tech level right here. So the only one that's the exception really is a gauze pistol.
Yeah,
or
and
gauze rifle.
The auto rifle, yeah.
Well, I mean, we're pretty...
The assault rifle, I mean, is it... oh, wait, no, you're right. I was looking at the magazine and thinking that as the tech level. I'm sorry. You're right, the Gauss rifle is that and the advanced combat rifle. Even that, we're very close.
We're close to that, yeah. We're very close. Because we're...
Very close.
We're sitting at probably, currently,
We're sitting at 9.
Yeah, no. Right, currently, you think?
8. We're at 8.5, if I remember the book right now.
Yeah.
We're about 8.5 to 9.
Because I think we have a theoretical accelerator rifle, but it's not something that's used by military.
Exactly.
But it'd be cool. Yeah, it'd be cool to have slap an antique pistol, get a musket for some cool NPC to use. That'd be great.
Fucking so cool.
Oh, the art is great. I love this art. Ooh, body pistol? That thing looks nasty. And then we got your energy weapons. So your standard Star Wars, Stormtrooper gear.
Classic pew-pews.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll hit a little bit more often. So if you look down the list here, everything short of plasma on this list, because plasma is included, but everything is 0G. So this is the premium way to fight in space.
The premier way to shoot. Yeah, I very much enjoy my lasers. And look at that laser rifle. It's got a little backpack because you got to be able to fuel it, be able to generate. I believe the backpack extension is where it houses the fuel cells. It's really cool.
Yeah, because they don't use. If you look up here, they don't use ammunition. Like usually they use like it's not the same as like you don't slap bullets in it. You have like your magazine, but that's essentially like your charges.
Oh yeah,
you know.
It's much more like Mass Effect, where you have the cooldown and the stripper clips. Very cool, very cool.
And then you have the plasma rifle, which is just straight up unlimited.
Pure power. It's the potent power of the sun.
That thing looks right out of Doom.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. That is the BFG 9000.
Yeah. And then you got your grenades, your standard aerosol, frag, and smoke and stuns. You get your heavy weapons, which were always my favorite. I love the FG-HPs and the PG-HPs.
And the FUCKs.
Right. So,
I remember you using the PGV and just fucking melting people, because isn't that one the one that uses macro damage, I think?
Yeah.
It's literally used for destroying spaceships.
Yeah, so this one is 1DD, and then the other one is 2DD, so it's like, it's an obscene amount of damage. You're talking like, the average person's rolling like a 10 on their damage, you're rolling 30 damage. Like a rocket launcher is obviously obscene, but those are very, very good. So your FGHP is your fusion gun human portable, which basically means they took a thing that shouldn't be not mounted to a thing and like mounted to a thing and took it off. So usually you're gonna need some sort of support system, i.e. the aliens, gyro thing to hold it in place.
Oh yeah.
And then the PG HP, which is the plasma gun, human portable. These things can be used by people in battle dress. Basically, like, think Master Chief can, like, carry, thousands of pounds. So this is viable for someone in battle dress, but for an average character, this is not something they can use.
Not exactly man portable.
And then you got your weapon options, which is great. You get.
Oh yeah.
So this is what we were talking about, the gyro stabilizers. So that's basically what, from Aliens they were using to keep that giant bulky weapon, reducing its recoil, and removing the bulky trait. But it can't be added to any destructive weapon. So basically, they're saying you can't pull something off a spaceship and just carry it around. Yeah, you can add computers, you can add suppressors, add scopes. We got our vehicles. Oh, they changed the ground car, look at that.
Yeah, they made it look like it's straight out of, no offense, creator, fucking MS Paint Job.
Yeah, not great, don't really like that. It's like a Barbie space car. But it's also a ground car, and if, like I said, there's worlds
enough that you're still driving on the ground, then you deserve it.
Yeah, you deserve it, exactly. That's a pretty cool picture too.
Oh yeah, because that was the standard fighter and then the standard like motorbike. I like it. Oh yeah, and then the ATVs.
See, that's an upgrade here. The air raft.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Air raft. So basically, when you're thinking, A New Hope, cruising to Mos Eisley's in your hover, that's a land raft. That's your air raft rather. Standard anti-gravity, kind of like no weapons mounted to it. It's not a grav tank. It's just kind of like your flying car, but not flying, hovering.
We're hovering in style.
Yeah, I think they technically can fly, but obviously very slowly.
Yeah.
And then speaking of aliens, you got your cargo lifter there.
Hell yeah.
Then you got your G-bikes and your G-racers. So whenever I see the G-bike, I think of Space Marines. Like those cool Dark Angels on their grav bikes.
Fucking cool.
And And then you have the ridiculous gun skiff, which is essentially Jabba's palace, but like streamlined. Or the Dark Eldar from 40k. You got the Gecko all-terrain, which is, let's just call it what it is. It's a warthog.
Yeah, it's a fucking it's a warthog with an extra fucking barrel.
Yeah. Call it a gecko all you want. That's a fucking warthog.
It's a warthog with a fucking flak cannon.
Yeah. The ridiculous personal land yacht, which is just, that's straight out of Dune or something.
Oh yeah. That is definitely, I love the fucking top-mounted fucking cannon. This is fucking just too much. I love it. And then we get to my favorite part, the spaceships and everything goes with them, because they have, spaceship has its own stats and information. Because they are consistent of multiple working parts, and you can actually construct from the ground up your own spaceship as long as it meets the basic requirements. So if you have very, very clever team, they can like construct a spaceship, but no offense, most of us are just going to go with what's kind of already done.
Yeah. And usually this is like what, as a GM, what you're going to want is you're going to want to have each people assigned to, they can go to different roles, but you're going to want to have someone who's going to fill each position.
Absolutely.
Because just flying a ship is a series of checks, right? You're going to need to power up the engines, you're going to need to take off, you're going to need someone to navigate, tell you where you're going, someone to operate the weapons. So it's a really good opportunity to have specialists, that you've kind of found out who's the best at this. They don't have to be great at it, but they should be able to at least, turn a wrench or, open a communicator or fire a gun.
I'm the concubine, but I also have 2 in astronavigation because of a past event. Great, you're our astronavigator, let's go.
Yeah. So you can make this as complicated or as streamlined as possible. It really depends on the interest of your level, your group's, interest in the logistics of it. Because some people love logistics, like they keep track of all their food and I'm going to take my ration for the day and how many feet am I walking, and some groups don't even deal with food. They're just like, yeah, you bought some food, you're good. Like, I'm not going to make you use your... And that's the same goes for your ship, right? There's so much complexity that you can really add or leave out whatever you want, because you can get into all the details of this and really grind someone down.
Oh yeah. One thing I would suggest, just for the sake of it, is to have you or your players tracking the fuel that they use, because that can lead to some very fascinating moments being stranded out in the middle of space.
Yeah, I'd say that is the one that is very, very important, is to keep track of your fuel, because everything else is just kind of like the mundanity of it. You don't need
Absolutely.
you don't need to nickel and dime every single thing you do, but fuel is a basic one,
Yeah. The only time I even really track food is if the party is deserted on a planet or something where it's like it's become a survival game.
Yeah.
Other than that, exactly.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me, because that is part of the adventure. Survival is part of what you're doing here. Whereas, like on a ship, it should be stocked. It should be good. Like,
you should be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. So, talking about fuel, you need to get from starport to starport to load up. It costs about 500 credits per ton of fuel. It takes like an hour to refuel. So it's a cost that you should always be keeping track of and how much you have. Because that really that brings your players into an understanding that this is not, unless you're driving like something that has unlimited power, it's not like the Star Trek Enterprise, the USS Enterprise. You got to stop off and get fuel. Like, we're not at this point where the engine is replenishing itself.
Exactly.
And then jumps is a really cool part.
background is covering it again?
I don't have it. I don't have it showing right now.
Oh, okay. Because I'm currently looking at the passenger deck.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay.
We can break down this. Yeah. So like a lot of the ships do have like nice little deck plans and things like that. Some people went through the effort of making it completely 3D here. So there's different ships for different purposes, and they all have, you know, like really cool little areas. Because there's downtime too that you got to fill doing things. And areas to bring your cargo and.
Exactly, because for those who don't know, when you make a jump, regardless of how far the jump is, wherever you're jumping between one and another point, it is almost always between 3 and 7 days. So you have about a week that goes by no matter what. And so there's some downtime, and that during that downtime you can be able to do stuff like learning new skills or engaging with the party.
Yeah, and some of the jobs mean you're going to be ferrying people from one place to another, so you want to make sure you have some staterooms or somewhere for them to stay. Some ships are just made to ferry people, some are just for cargo, and some are good for both, you know. And actually, speaking of jumps, let's have a look here at the jumps.
Oh yeah.
So jump travel is obviously the way to get where you're going, and it's also, you know, one of the things where things can go terribly wrong.
Oh yeah.
So this is where you're gonna need an astronavigator. They call it an astrogator. Astrogation check.
Astrogation.
Yeah.
But unlike in Dune, the astrogators in this are not fat babies inside of a giant bowl. No, you're normal. You're normal-ish. Well, I shouldn't say normal. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, or 40K where they're like, you know, like mind dead astropaths, where they're just like, you know, they're essentially space psychics.
Oh yeah, space psychics. That could be a fucking show.
Mm-hmm.
But exactly as he's saying, you gotta make sure that whoever is the person who is astronavigating, you know, psych them up, you know, give them a pat on the back, tell them they've had a great day, make sure that they are rolling high, because 1 minute you're planning on jumping to, like, you know, Perseus 9, the next minute you're 10,000 light years away on Omicron Persei 8. But that is a critical failure, so that's very unlikely, but possible. One missed jump and a new story begins.
Yeah, and that's the kind of cool part, is you can always have a jump be the catalyst for you're going completely off book, right?
Oh yeah, if I remember, you guys jumped like 7 parsecs away from the target.
It was it wasn't even a bad jump. It was a very close jump. Like we could have really fucked up there. But yes, you need someone to figure out where you're going, which is the astrogation part. You know, you need an engineer, someone running engineering to actually like get your J drive, which is your jump drive. You know, our dog's angry. Yeah, so you need an engineer to, you know, do a J drive, which is your jump drive check, to gear yourself up to do it, diverting your power, and then, you know, the pilot to hold on tight while you do it. And that's what uses a lot of your fuel too. So miss jumps on, you know, you can go to somewhere completely different. If you fail it, you know, you might end up in a part of space no one is familiar with, and it's horrifying.
Best have your universal communicator real close.
Mm-hmm. Transition back here. Ah, it's our ship, the Scout.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's another cool breakdown of the ship here. This is the one we used on our last adventure, which is the Scout ship, which is pretty great. It's kind of like a good balance between all the different, you know, cargo space, passenger space, and ability to do space combat and things like that. I like it.
Oh yeah, it's such a terrific Dorito.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy it deeply.
Yeah. So yeah, and like the type of ship they have doesn't like you can still do all the things, but like ultimately some are better equipped than others. But yeah, so think about jobs that people are gonna do. It's like people are gonna want to be passengers on your ship. They're gonna want cargo moved. They're gonna want you to go explore different areas and do things. So
Oh yeah.
the ship
I
as
w-
well. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, I was even told about by a friend of mine that I've been making that their entire campaign was just that their whole thing is that they were scavengers. You know, they literally were just shipbreakers,
Mhm.
and that led them to deal with pirates like half of the time, and they had to fight for their scraps and shit. And you can just have like load the salvage into the salvage, and you could, if you want to, you can go to the increment like how much weight your materials are carrying and how much you're getting per like kilo of material. You can get really in depth in this game. It's really cool with the ship carry weight and space combat. Oh, so cool.
I will say that the space combat is the trickiest thing.
It is tricky.
It is very hard to do. It's the only thing that's really intimidating coming into this game because there is a lot.
Oh yeah, it is not small.
Yeah. So if I'm gonna pull up here.
Yeah, go for it, buddy.
I'm gonna pull up the basic here. The distances, you have your range bands, so different weapons have different ranges. Some ships have stronger communications, so they'll be able to even recognize there's another ship there. So you could be getting fired on by a ship you don't even know exists, or you can see the ship and you're flying towards it to shoot it, and it has better range than you, or vice versa. So this is the part of the game that is a little bit complicated.
Oh yeah.
So make sure you read up on it because there's a lot going on.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm glad you brought that up. That's why some, and not even just some, a good amount of travel games don't even begin with the players having a spaceship. Like they begin with the first like part of the adventure is getting your spaceship, partly to give the GM some time to read up how spaceships even fucking work or how spaceship combat takes place. So, don't be afraid to take a moment and read. And in my opinion, like with us, watch videos, learn how to do it, because when it works pretty well. But you can definitely overstimulate yourself with so much things going on, and it can be a wild ride for sure.
Yeah, it's the trickiest part of the game, so if you go up here, it's like everybody's doing something, which is the cool part because normally in combat, the wizard does his thing and, the barbarian does his thing. This is you're all working in tandem for the same goal. Because only the gunner is shooting, but everybody else has a super important, someone's jamming their signal, someone's, the pilot's flying, the engineer's making sure that you're rerouting power, if you're a Marine, you might be preparing to rebel borders, so there's a lot going on. Like I said, yeah, I would recommend if you're brand new to this game, try and avoid the space combat. The boarding is almost easier, but it's maybe land on a planet, then get in a gunfight, get yourself geared up for that, because that's very standard RPG.
Oh yeah.
Whereas this is a little bit more complicated. So as you see here, it's like spacecraft damage, and then you got to go into the repairs, and you got to. So there's a lot that goes into this part of the game. But I think ultimately, once you're comfortable with it, it's very, very satisfying.
Absolutely. Leads to some very memorable moments.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. What do we want to go to next? This is all space combat so much. Oh my god, yeah, they have a whole thing on building a
Yep.
I just wanted to see if I could find the ships. Yeah, here we go.
the background is covering it again.
Yeah, no, that's I'm just gonna transition between scenes.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, you have the option of building your own ship, which is once again like that's to me that's when you're very comfortable with the game and
Yeah, I do not advise that to start out.
no. So I advise you pick one of the simpler ones for your team. This is the one we picked last time, or I picked, which is the Scout, the Courier. It's a good one, you know, very sleek, pretty badass. And you need a crew of a pilot, an astrogator, and an engineer. So that's 3. That's all you need, right? It also has like the ability to, you know, what are they called? The scoops? Yeah, scoops. So you want to explain the scoops?
Yeah, so the scoops are unrelentingly useful. What it does is it allows you to be able to gather material, by extension absorbing minerals, and more accurately gathering the helium and the necessary fuels to get you to where you need to go. So let's say you are jumping and you are not going to make it to the nearest starport. You drop off and you are in just a fucking open wasteland, but you're near a star or a set of asteroids. You're like, okay, I can't fuel the entire ship on this, otherwise we'd be here for weeks, just, you know, or longer, depending. But you can be able to scoop necessary amounts of fuel or materials for trade or sale, begin a small mining operation, you know, quote unquote. But the most of that requires extra materials. But the most basic thing you can do with a scoop is to be able to get enough fuel to be able to make a jump, so that you can be like, okay, I'm not completely fucked if I am off the mark. I can be able to get places, but purchasing fuel is the best way to handle it, because then you're not bleeding currency as you're just sitting by a star, waiting and waiting. And so that's the general use of a scoop, and they are, in my opinion, invaluable to a crew. So if you don't have one, I'd consider my options if I was you.
Yeah, it's really it's for last ditch situations too. So when you're completely screwed. So just looking at this, you know, this is a very simple ship, but even then, look at the purchase cost. It's you know, it's macro credits 36.9405. So that's you know,
about 36 million.
Yeah. And the cost to run this thing a month, assuming everything goes to plan, is about over 3,000.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it ain't cheap.
Oh yeah, and exactly as we said, like, sometimes you're literally just getting paid enough to keep the ship going, and maybe paying your crew for like a dinner out. You know, sometimes the pickings are real low. But because of that, there is room on the ship for trading, and that's what leads to the second ship. So I love the Scout personally. The Scout is, if not my favorite, one of my favorite ships. This is the Mining Scout that allows for mining if you want a mining team, if your party wants to literally do scrapping. Then here is the Free Trader, and then there's the Far Trader. The Free Trader, for some people, especially those who've been playing, this is when they think of Traveler. This is the ship they think of. And for those who are fans of a certain other series, you can get where Joss Whedon, because a lot of people believe that Firefly is literally just his Traveler game that he turned into a movie or show. You can see some similarities with this in the Firefly class of the Serenity. This is the Free Trader. It's a trading ship. And this one, if you want to be a long-haul trader, this is or have the cover and actually use it for smuggling. This one's a fantastic ship, because look at that jump drive, double that of the standards. Is it? I think it's double the standard Scout.
What was the jump?
But I think that
4
yeah,
weeks?
the 40 over here.
I'm trying to see. The J drive is. This just says 1.
So it has 1 J drive, but go down to power requirements. Oh, sorry, not power requirement. Sorry. Where is it? So it has a power requirement of 40, but it's able to make. Okay. Yes. Okay. You're right. Okay. So it's able to make one jump at a time. Is the
It is
I keep forgetting. No, that's the far trader. The free trader can only go so far. Go to the far trader real quick. I know that one can jump further. That's what I was.
Ah, yes.
There it is. Here we go. Yeah. See the far trader is able to jump 2. There we go. So it can jump double. So that's the key difference between the two of them. Sorry, I was getting mixed up for a moment. But the free trader is great if you want extra storage space. The far trader is great if you want a good amount of space and can jump a good amount of distance. Jump 2 or jump 1 means it can make that many parsecs of a jump in a single go.
Mm-hmm.
And the far trader and the free trader are actually the oldest ships. In fact, on the cover, the original Traveler is actually the free trader Beowulf. So it's another piece of fun history that they've kept this ship around in their stuff for so long. And yet, it's not my favorite. The first ship they show is my favorite, the Scout.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of ones I've never even played on, like the Safari ship.
The Safari is great if you go for a hunt.
Yeah.
The defense boat is mostly going to be for soldiers and stuff like that. And then rich people.
Yeah.
The close escort is really cool class of ship, but players are usually never going to operate it unless you're doing a Navy run.
Yeah.
Which is a way to play.
Mm-hmm. Same with the laboratory ship. It's usually not going to be the choice because it's really meant to be like put in place and studying things.
Oh yeah, but one of the cool things about the laboratory ship is you can use this, and let's say the laboratory got taken over, and boom, just from the book, you have a small adventure without even trying anything. You have just like this sitting laboratory ship that's currently dead in space, and now the party must investigate, and you didn't even have to do much. Yeah. That's why I love these layouts.
Yeah, so we were just talking about the laboratory ship and a great quest line for that. There's actually Seth Skorkowski has one. He did a remake of a classic adventure. I forget what it's called, but right, yeah, Death Station.
It is Death Station, which is part of the Hunt for the Saber episode 4, which is part of the mystery of Arcturus Station. Which he himself helmed and rewrote and made it much more modern friendly.
Yeah.
So definitely give it a shot. It can be a great way to start your. It's a great start for your entire campaign.
Yeah, if you weren't so intimately familiar with it, I probably would have set our campaign on that one, because that would be a good adventure to do as a one shot.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of the cool things. If you ever still want to, you can still run it. You can remember. That's one of the coolest features about it. You can change who the main person it is without even trying. That's one of the main things, is that every time you try it, it's a different person who did the action. So, if not this time, next time. And that's a cool thing for all you GMs out there. Referees, is that several of the adventures, there's rules for even changing them up, built in just right into the wordings, and how it's like written out. So even if you're worried about a fellow player who's like me and loves Traveler a lot, you can add information or just use the different possibilities and make even preset adventures wholly original, which you could normally do. You just change your base shit, but it's even there in the book to kind of throw people off, which is really cool. Which it is more busy work for the writer, but I think it goes a long way for new GMs who think, oh, well, I got to do this the same exact way. Well, no, not necessarily. You can do your own thing.
Yeah, I mean, you should probably, I've never run a pre-generated adventure to the exact parameters of the pre-generated.
Absolutely.
Because that's always assuming that your PCs are doing exactly what you want them to do, which never happens. So you have to be prepared for that. I wanted to go back to the ships.
Yeah, let's go.
and show you, because they have new ships and some of them are ugly.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, that's the classic patrol ship. I don't mind that.
No, that one's not so bad. I mean, it's kind of weird looking, but it's not so bad. But then we got the subsidized merchant. Kind of weird.
Yeah, kind of more funky.
Yeah, but still pretty normal, right? Then we got the survey scout.
What in the
Yeah.
fuck am I looking at? It looks like a laser gun.
It looks like if a transformer turned into a tattoo gun, you know, or
Yeah.
like a vape pen, you know, like.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
wild. You are right. I am so used to the like 17, 18 version. This is
Yeah.
definitely different.
Yeah, this is a weird ass looking ship, but to each their own, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So we got the
That one I actually like, the subsidized liner.
It looks kind of like if the
Go ahead.
USS Enterprise was the Swiss Army knife.
Yes, that's
You know?
exactly what I was seeing too. Because you see it looks like it folds out. Yeah.
Like if an agency, like some sort of marketing agency, came to me and was like, "We want to make a Star Trek utility like tool." This is what it would come out looking like.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see it. I can see it, bro.
Mhm.
Classic
It's
merc.
cool.
Yeah, the cruiser. Yeah, that thing is traditionally it's known as the mercenary sphere, but I understand why they just changed it straight to cruiser
Hmm.
because it's not exactly spherical, but you know what you're meaning when you hear the word sphere. This thing is crazy though. It can so it has a standard jump of 3, also a thrust of 3. This thing can actually fucking pull some game. This thing actually moves very quickly compared to what you think, and because it's a bulky ass war vehicle. This thing is made for combat, and that's why its armor is like armor ranking 4, which basically on a spaceship, that's in the macro protection. So this thing can take a hit. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. It looks like a Fabergé egg.
It
But
does.
like it's got like triple turrets times 8. It's just like
Yeah,
it looks also kind of like a Space Marine drop pod.
it does. I could definitely see that.
So but the fact that it hauls ass
Well-
is
well,
pretty
that's kind of
surprising.
what it is, bro.
Yeah.
So
no, but it
the-
hauls ass. It goes like
Mhm.
drop pods are dropped out of ships. This thing flies on its
Well-
own.
Yes, this thing carries a platoon that can be deployed onto a surface of a planet
Hmm.
within 2 modular cutting housed inside of the ship. I get exactly what you mean. It looks like a standard drop pod, but it isn't necessarily. But I guarantee you, I can send this flying down on a planet.
Oh, for
I can
sure.
slam this into a planet.
Well, not to mention and then all of a sudden 2 ATVs just come rolling
Yeah.
out of it. Like this thing's badass.
Think about this thing hitting the ground and then Guy Fieri, we're rolling out of here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this thing is badass as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And it includes like crazy weapons, bro.
Yeah.
Like this thing is ready for war.
For sure.
It even includes a modular cutting unit, which is really fucking Viper shit. But yeah,
We got the little light fighters, which obviously this isn't something you would, this is a one pilot kind of thing. So this could be a
Mhm.
cool thing to add in an adventure, but it's not. You're not traveling. You know, it doesn't have jump. It doesn't have anything like that. So
oh yeah.
the gig.
What?
It's a goofy looking ship.
That looks like this ship. That looks like the fucking sad brother of the drop ships from Mass Effect.
Right? Yeah. I can kind of see that. Yeah, single turret. It's real basic. Once again, it would make like a cool add to an adventure, but
Right.
you're not getting anywhere. And then that's a standard kind of launch pod. Ship's
There you go.
boat, same deal. The tampon, the spacefaring tampon.
The spacefaring tampon.
Yeah.
And next to it, the spacefaring tampon is, whatever. But the slow boat is actually pretty cool. It's
slow
real
boat?
simple. It's the next thing.
Yes, when your dildo needs some extra balls on it.
Yep.
It's really
Fucking
if you look at this ship's boat and you look with without the armor on the outside.
It's literally
it's the most
you're right.
dick-shaped of all ships ever. And this one's it's like wonky, like a brisk gone wrong.
Oh yeah, but the objective of these ships is not. So the reason why they look like this, well, the reason why they look like this is because people are goofy.
Mhm.
But the key benefit of these is that these are in solar system ships. Like these are, funny enough, generally used for like luxury, getting from planet to planet. For those who are in higher state. Or for capacity transfer, like materials and stuff. So the giant penis boat in this is literally made to get a bunch of seamen from one place to the next.
Space
And the
seamen?
slow boat is space seamen, because look, the Marines, they're assault teams, so yeah, you got a bunch of space seamen ejaculating into the planet. And then you have the slow boat, where it's a ferrying unit, you know. But they could have made it look cool. It could have looked like a pelican. Like, I don't understand.
The slow boat is just the ship's boat after drinking Red Bull.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not you when you're hungry.
This is a new one too, the Pinnacle.
The Pinnacle actually
pinnace?
looks kind of cool.
It's literally pinnace though.
Pinnace. The Pinnock. Or the Pinnace.
Climb aboard the pinnace.
Get inside my Pinnace.
Don't get inside.
No. Well, that's
Jeez.
where all the people are.
No.
It actually, okay, crew cabin of 6, has a mobile library, intellectual units. It's a cargo vessel, most starships, trailing far behind, can configure light combat. So basically, again, is another in solar system, not expected to do any crazy jumps, but it can operate, and it has light methods of self-defense, so at least one weapon, so...
And it looks significantly less phallic.
Yeah, it looks a lot less like a wee-wee.
Yeah, which is nice.
And then... and then they just go back to near PP shape.
Yeah,
They just
near.
do a mixture of the Pinnacle and the ship
Yeah.
boat in one. As a large hauler, it provides even more cargo carrying pace. So it's literally just a slow boat,
Yeah.
where if the slow boat is the ship boat on Red Bull, this is both of them on Crocaine.
Yeah.
Crocaine. For those who are listening, one of our dear friends is now here as well. He's being all cute over there. Oh, but yeah. What in the world? That just looks like a classic shuttle.
Yeah. So,
And then the passenger vessel. I've been on a passenger vessel a few times. They're solid ships when they're not getting you killed.
I mean, yeah, that's the dream. Is not getting you killed.
No, well, this is traveling. If you're going on a passenger vessel, either A, you don't got a spaceship, or B, it's gonna get shot down.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the other stuff is a lot of, huh? Yeah, a lot of.
Oh, sorry.
A lot of it's just the psionic stuff here. Yeah, you saw that now.
I love that so much. I'm a spaceman, got a rocket on my back. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
So the game itself has like a bunch of rules on trade. You know, how to take on passengers, what those passengers will pay for their, you know, the amount of parsecs traveled, what kind of things they need. So you can't take like a, you know, dignitary and just throw them in a cot and be like, yeah, you owe me, you know, the wages from like the passage for a dignitary. It's, you have to kind of up. That's the idea is if you want nicer passengers, you have to have a nicer boat. You want to get your yachts and all this sort of stuff. But there are rules for all this type of travel. You know,
which I absolutely love. Like,
yeah.
you can play a game because, well, you make sure that your stewardship is high enough to be a useful diguton. But you could literally play as characters who are. That's most of what they do is trade materials and trade passengers. It's so cool that you can carry all this freight or all these passengers, these materials, and you could just play a game as a trader, smuggler, or a ferryman, you know? or that can be all supplemental to your main way of making a living.
I'll show the rules here. This is basically they have passage and freight, passenger traffic.
It's not currently showing.
Is it not? Oh, it is on the main screen.
Okay, I'll show it.
Yeah, sorry. Whenever I'm in studio mode, you just see the leftmost one.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. So yeah, there's rules here for taking on passengers, sort of like the distance, how much they're willing to pay. Same goes for freight. And there's kind of like cool charts to show you, you know, almost like, you know, a D66, because there's no D100s. Just sort of like, you know, a random adventure. Just, if you're running out of ideas, throw some stuff together. Come up with a creative reason. If you have a rich noble, maybe they're, you know, escaping a controlling parent or a lover or something like that. Or they're intentionally trying to be run down, you know, look to themselves to get across the planet without being noticed. I do like number 35 though, the unusually pretty or handsome. It's just like,
Oh yeah.
no details, just yeah, that's
Man, you're unusually pretty or handsome. That in itself is a fascinating trait.
Trade and smuggling. So there's rules here for basically anything you want to do to make money, because that's how you'll spur your adventures on, is the fact that this game is expensive and you need to throw a lot of money at the problem to advance. All different things you can trade.
Oh yeah, the trade list, I just love it, because you can literally just use this list and roll on it and be like, okay, today's trade mission is this, and then you get onto that motherfucker. Or you can select specific things. And each one have like different bonuses. Like you can have your players, you can hand them this list and be like, okay, these are the items currently available. Oh, here's this, and this, and these are the planets or worlds that they would be willing to pay more for it, because you can see like, hey, you know, precious metals, asteroid worlds, desert worlds, and ice caps are more likely to have that material. And so worlds that do not meet that kind of like location, you can get a higher profit from this, that, or the other. And it's really cool.
Yeah, like selling ice cubes on a desert world would be super profitable.
Take all of my ice water to Dune, make a profit.
Oh, you'd make so much profit? Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah.
Even just mild, any water, let's be honest here.
Oh yeah, those motherfuckers are surviving off of people water, so I think we got this.
Exactly. Yeah, but there's, for any, you know, this is the main core rule book, but for anything you really want to do, Traveler has a rule for it. There is a chart, there is a, you know, for anything from atmospheric conditions to hydrographics to, you know, types of government on every planet. There is a chart for pretty much everything.
Oh yeah. As well, there are already, if you were like, hey, I don't want to deal with that, the preset world of the Third Imperium has, and this is not a joke, over, I think, 2,000 worlds charted and processed that they have history, knowledge, at least the basics. So even if you are like, okay, I don't want to build all this stuff, if you want to go with something preordained, there's information for you too. But for those who want to create their own worlds for specific scenarios or events, or like a home base for the players, as you said, it's all right there.
Yeah, this is really a game where you can do a tertiary kind of adventure where you just drop in, you don't know anything about the outside world. All of the important details are really, you know, are unimportant details in this case, are just kind of left out, and you just focus on having fun. But you can also go crazy deep and be like, you know, playing the stock market and buying things when they're cheap and selling them when they're high, and playing with sort of like a different, like something's banned on one world but totally free on the other world. You can sell it and profit that way. So there's a lot of interesting intrigue if you're astute enough and interested.
Absolutely. As well, there's like entire starport breakdowns. There's like There's index travel codes for like different like planets and stuff. They have like certain breakdowns. It's just I cannot say anything else other than this has, if you want it, it's here. And that's what makes it cool. Love it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're really gonna get, like, it's hard to touch on all of the different rule sets without going into the characters, so that's something we're gonna cover during our character creation, which will be our next one. And that will really show you what kind of classes you're working with and how they differentiate and how you get them, because once again, you don't get to pick, you get to aspire. And that's all you get. You're a fresh-eyed 18-year-old, just graduated high school, very Johnny Rico, and the
Rico! Yeah.
And the rest, Carmen, and I can't remember what Neil Patrick Harris's name was, but...
Patrick?
No.
No, his name's Carl.
Oh, Carl, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carl, Carmen, and Johnny, yeah. Like, when they graduate, there's sort of, they go in, do a bunch of tests, and that really tells you what you can do. And then it's sort of after that, the mishaps that happen, you...
Oh, yeah.
You hope you're not dizzy, that's really all you can do. But that's a wild adventure on its own, and we're definitely going to explore that in our next episode. Anything else you want to add before we sign out?
No. I've just been getting real excited, and we're about to do my favorite part of just about any other RPG that exists, and the creation, the system itself is real solid, real clean. Some might even say very, almost universal to old school TTRPGs using the die system, but when it comes to the character creation, it's I'd almost say it's second to none.
It really is. Like, there has never been a Session Zero I've enjoyed as much as Traveler Session Zero, because you're really just like, you're fully... You have no control over the destiny, and that's part of the fun.
Oh, yeah.
You're figuring out your character along with everybody else in the party. And that's kind of special. So, yeah, make sure you tune into that episode. It will be a lot of fun. We'll have a bunch of friends with us, and yeah, we'll see you then.
See you then.